What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Kicking It with Crowder, guys. Episode 82 overall, episode 32 of this season, guys. So, hey, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. As always, we're going to play a little music and then let some people join in on the conversation, and we'll get going, guys. So, thank y'all so much. Let's do it. Y'all having a good night tonight? So, tonight, guys, we'll be talking about the NFL 2021 schedule release. We'll be talking about the Atlanta Falcons schedule that was released today. Also, we'll go over the my top 10 games for the 2021 season, as well as some other matchups, some revenge games, Brady versus the Patriots. So, really excited to bring you all this tonight. And then we'll also go over the draft a little bit, give you the Atlanta Falcons recap of the draft, as well as my top 3 drafts by teams outside the Atlanta Falcons. So, really excited to bring you all this episode tonight, guys. So, don't forget, comment down below, like, and share so more people can see this. All right, guys, so let's do it. All right. All right, guys. So, hey, we got our first viewer on. What's up, Jamie? How you doing, man? Thanks for coming on, man. Guys, don't forget to like, share, all that good stuff down below. All right. Kicking It with Crowder begins in 3, 2, 1. And what's going on, everyone? And welcome to Kicking It with Crowder. I am your host, Tyler Crowder. You see what I did right there with my name? I put it in the ad. So, episode 32 of the season, guys. 82 overall. Thank you guys so much for everyone who's been joining the shows since we've been doing it. If it's your first time viewing, second time, guys, we really appreciate it. So, guys, thank you. The NFL draft is over. All the anticipation that was leading up to it, teams have made their selections. Now we know where these college players are going to be playing their college ball. Trevor Lawrence, of course, was, basically going to be the number 1 overall pick for, 3 seasons. We knew where he was going. Zach Wilson makes the metric rise up to go number 2 overall. And then Trey Lance at 3. And then Kyle Pitts, guys, the Atlanta Falcons grabbed Kyle Pitts at 4, who basically I had him as my number 2 overall player on my big board. So the Atlanta Falcons come away with a great selection. Now they pair him up with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, Russell Gage, Mike Davis running back, Matt Ryan. This offense has a chance to be very explosive, especially with a guy like Arthur Smith calling the plays. You saw what he was able to do in Tennessee the last 2 years. So very excited for the Atlanta Falcons and what they were able to do in the NFL draft. But not only did they kill it with the first-round draft pick, their second-round draft picks, their third round, they had a great draft. So they end up getting Richie Grant, safety out of UCF, guy who played his high school football at Choctaw down in Fort Walton Beach. He ended up going to UCF. He's a playmaker. Guy can get all around the field. He can come up and hit you. He can make plays. Had 4 interceptions this past season. Took one back to the house. Has some skills when he gets the football in his hands. I look for him to be an immediate starter in this Falcons defense. You could see him and some of these other safeties that they brought in, Harmon from the former Lions and Patriots safety. You could see him possibly starting, as well as they also signed the Eric Harris, a safety from the Las Vegas Raiders. So I expect Richie Grant to fully step in. They took him at 40th overall. What's up, Zach? So Richie Grant now safety. Kind of look for him to fill in that Keanu Neal type role. I really feel like he can be a impact player from day one. So you get Kyle Pitts at tight end. Then you have Richie Grant, UCF safety, in the second round. And then you go ahead and get Jalen Mayfield, a guy who I had. What's up, Zach? Thanks for watching, man. I appreciate it. Jalen Mayfield, a guy I had as the 44th overall player on my big board. He slips to 80, in the 80s. So Jalen Mayfield in the Atlanta Falcons, they pick him. He's a guy who can play offensive tackle. You could also possibly see him slide in and play offensive guard. So Jalen Mayfield, look for him to possibly be a backup in his first season. But I really expect Jalen Mayfield to develop into a starter in year 2 or 3. Could play, like I said, could play tackle, but I really see him as a guard in the NFL, left guard or right guard. What's up, Zach? Yeah. Murphy, I really feel like Kyle Pitts, man, he was the second best player in the draft to me. He's going to make an immediate impact. Him, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, you pick your poison. You're going to have a lot of issues dealing with them, especially if Arthur Smith calls good game plans, which Dirk Cutter has not done the last few years. So then in the 4th round, guys, they get a guy named Darren Hall, 6 foot, 200-pound cornerback from San Diego State, has great ball skills, a guy who takes chances, he really trusts his technique, and, if he sees a play, what he's studied from the tape, he'll go after that ball and try to make a play. So I like Darren Hall. I thought they could have maybe, got him in possibly the 5th round. A guy who I was really screaming for, Kenneth Gainwell, running back from Memphis. I really like his pro possibilities, what he was able to do at Memphis. Had a great career, just one season at Memphis, but had that really good 2019 season with paired up with Antonio Gibson. So I thought Darren Hall, there's a guy, they obviously liked him a lot. He was a guy that played at Senior Bowl, so they were around him a little bit, and hey, I always say, if that's your guy, they go up and get him. That's who they ended up selecting. But it was interesting to see Kenneth Gainwell. I thought he would have made a great, pairing with Mike Davis in that backfield. Guy who can also catch the football out of the backfield. But Darren Hall, I think he's, could be that 3rd or 4th cornerback right now for the Atlanta Falcons. We just need to find someone to go opposite A.J. Terrell. Looks like Isaiah Oliver has kind of slid into that slot role. So it's basically going to either be the cornerback from Ohio State that we selected a few years ago, or Darren Hall in that spot. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see Darren Hall. I mean, he's an athlete. Made some good moves at the Senior Bowl. And I'm excited to see what he's able to do. Drew Dahlman, offensive lineman, could play guard or center. Look for him to compete with Matt Hennessy for reps right away. A guy who's smart player coming from Stanford, that Stanford program. We lost, of course, our center we've had the last few years. So it's interesting to see what Drew Dahlman will do. I'm not sure if he wins the starting job year 1, but you could see him and Jalen Mayfield possibly getting reps in and starting in their 2nd season. Okay, and then another pick that they made, Tyquan Graham, defensive lineman from Texas, guy who can play kind of that 1 to 3 technique, guy who can play right there beside Grady Jarrett. So Tyquan Graham, the more I've dug into him, I liked his tape, what I've seen so far. He can be a guy who can rotate on that defensive line. I liked him a lot. And then in the 5th round, they also get a edge rusher, Ogundeji. He's an edge rusher from Notre Dame, so he comes from a good program. I think he's a guy, edge rusher has been a need for the Atlanta Falcons. They of course have Dante Fowler, and it looks like this guy could possibly be getting reps. They also have, D-line is what the Atlanta Falcons kind of need to focus on the defensive side. They have good linebackers. The secondary need some work, but they've added Richie Grant in there. So now they add Tyquan Graham and Ogundeji from Notre Dame to come in and rush the passer. So we added 5 guys on the defensive side of the football, and we added 4 offensive players. Our last selection was a wide receiver from Arizona State, Frank Darby, who has showed promise. What he was able to do with Jalen Daniels in 2019. Didn't have the season in 2020 he expected, but here's a guy who could have went earlier than the 6th round. So if he can, develop kind of like Russell Gage has done in the past few years, it took him a few years to come on, but Frank Darby's a guy I really could see getting, if he has 15 to 20 catches next year, I think that's a success. So we get some more bodies on that defensive side of the football. And then now we added, some explosive players on offense like Frank Darby and Kyle Pitts. And then you get a couple linemen in Mayfield and Dahlman. So I like what the Atlanta Falcons did in this draft. It's hard to tell right now based off, the draft just happened. And, it's really hard to, draft or grade a draft class this early. But Terry Fontenot, his very first overall draft, I'm going to give the guy a B+. I like what he did bringing in the players. I like the fact that he went with Kyle Pitts and did not take a quarterback. That's what I wanted all along. I would have understood if he took a quarterback trying to get his guy. But it was very smart to give Matt Ryan a weapon that, hey, this guy could be a top tight end, pretty early. I would not be shocked if Kyle Pitts goes out there and has 1,000 receiving yards and, say, 10 touchdowns. I would not be shocked in the slightest, especially with the 17-game schedule, guys. Kyle Pitts is a freak athlete, and he's going to do wonders for this Atlanta Falcons offense. Give me 1 second, guys. Later in the show, guys, I'll give you some other teams that I thought had excellent drafts as well. So I'll talk about that here a little bit later on in the show. Also, the NFL, guys, has announced the 2020 schedule released. Among some changes this year, they also made number changes. So now, guys, skill position players or defensive backs can lower their numbers between 1 and 10. So you're going to see a lot of players, say Kyle Pitts, who a guy is, wore 84 at Florida, but he didn't want to take, Cordell Patterson, who has the number 84. He didn't want to pay for that. So he's going to number 8. So in years past, a tight end and wide receiver could not go that low, but they've changed it this year. The NFL has also, guys, changed it from 16 games to 17 games. So what does that do for records and stuff like that? Will there be asterisks? Remember, O.J. Simpson ran for 2,000 yards in 14 games back in the day. Now there's going to be 17 games. So, most running backs should be able to, a really good running back could be able to get 2,000 yards pretty easily. So we'll see what happens, what it does with records and things like that. Could you see a 6,000 yard passer? We'll see what happens with that, guys. But also, the NFL did make the rule change last year from going from 6 playoff teams in each conference to now 7. So that is something else that continues on in 2021. So I'll go over the Week 1 matchups. I'll also go over the Atlanta Falcons schedule and my top 10 games for the 2021 season. So that's going to all be on here in a little bit later in the show. So what games are you most excited for? So any of the NFL games that you've seen so far, are there any games that, really pop out to you? I know everyone's going to circle that Tom Brady and Patriots matchup. That's going to be a hell of a game. And I'm right there with you, Zach. I really want a Kyle Pitts jersey, especially in that number 8 that Julio Jones wore in college. He was number 8, back when he came out. He could not wear number 8, so maybe he would have grabbed that number coming out of college. But, of course, he wore number 11, and it paid off for him because I love Julio Jones in that number 11 in the Atlanta Falcons jersey. So what games are you most excited for this season, guys? And so, again, thank you for everyone who is joining the show. We'll listen to this on Facebook. Watch it after. Don't forget to comment, guys. Commenting always gets comments always, more comments, the better off. More people can see it and things like that, guys. So don't be scared to comment down below. Of course, give me a like. And then share down below, guys, so more people can see this. Tag your friends in it. More people can watch. And September 19th, Zach, I am seriously considering buying tickets to the Atlanta Falcons Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Right now, they start off at like $100. So, really excited for that game. Zach, hey, if you wanted to maybe go down there, man, let me know. Maybe we can plan a trip down there for the Tampa Bay Falcons game. So, also, guys, you can also like my Facebook page, Kicking It with Crowder. I'm at 984 followers, very, very close to 1,000. That was a goal I set when I first started this. I want to get to 1,000 likes and stuff. Guys, please help me out with that. Only 16 more followers needed to get to 1,000. So, don't forget, guys, you can also find me on Apple. I'm also on the iHeartRadio app. I'm also on Spotify. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle, guys, is at Kick It With Crow. And then my website, guys. My website has just dropped recently, www.kickingitwithcrowder.com. Check it out. I have a lot of my content going on there. My Facebook handle, my Twitter handle, some YouTube videos that I do, all that good stuff, guys. So I'm really, really excited for my website. And then, I post pretty much all the stuff I do onto my website. So all my stuff right there in one spot, so you can check it out. All right, guys. So we talked a little bit about the NFL draft. I went over what the Atlanta Falcons did, but guys, I want to talk a little bit about what some other teams did. I really liked. I do not want that music to play. Okay, just making sure that was not going to happen. All right, so I want to talk about my teams that actually did have really good drafts. Like I said, I gave the Falcons a B+. It's hard to tell though. Just based off of paper, what I saw and the grades that I gave out, these are the teams that I think did the most for their franchises. And I'll start with the Cleveland Browns. Man, the Cleveland Browns not only had a heck of an offseason signing some free agents, John Johnson, safety from the Rams. They also get Troy Hill, cornerback from the Rams. They're able to sign Jadeveon Clowney to go besides Myles Garrett. So they had a really good offseason in free agency. But not only did they have a good free agency, guys, they just absolutely had a great draft. So they started with selecting Northwestern's cornerback Greg Newsome, guy I liked a lot. Had him as my number 5 overall cornerback. They get him in the first round. Then Notre Dame linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He slips because of like a heart condition that kind of got noticed. What's up, Brandon? They kind of got noticed later in the process. He slips to them in the second round. And then Auburn wide receiver Anthony Schwartz, who's an absolute burner, world-class speed. We're talking, he could possibly, run in the Olympics. That's how fast the guy is. They give him another weapon to go along with their receivers, OBJ and Jarvis Landry. And then, they do draft Cincinnati offensive tackle James Hudson, who's just a mammoth of a human being. Cleveland already has a pretty good offensive line, so now they can try to develop James Hudson. They also get Ohio State defensive tackle Tommy Tagovailoa, West Virginia inside linebacker Tony Fields, Georgia safety Richard LeCounte, who fell to them in the 5th round. I'm not sure if you've watched Georgia games the last few years, but I'm telling you, Richard LeCounte is a football player, and he will fit in nicely in that Cleveland Browns defense. And then also they get UCLA running back, kick returner, wide receiver Demetric Felton. So they just had a great draft. I like what they did. The GM is doing really good things, and this Cleveland Browns offense is pretty good. But this Cleveland Browns defense could be scary next year. So things are turning around right now in Cleveland. And you gotta give props because Cleveland has been kind of a laughingstock, for the last 20 years or so. But they are turning things around. Another draft that kind of popped out to me with some of the names and just from what I've been reading, the New York Jets. Man, the New York Jets had a great draft. So yes, they do get rid of Sam Darnold. They're able to get some draft capital for that. But they end up taking Zach Wilson with the 2nd overall pick, and then they end up trading back up. So they had the 23rd overall pick. They trade with Minnesota to 14, and they take Elijah Vera Tucker. Okay, so guard, can play tackle the past 2 seasons at USC. Or I'm sorry, at this past season played tackle, but his first 2 years he was an interior lineman as a guard. Hey, what's up, Van? So not only they get Zach Wilson, then they get Elijah Vera Tucker, who could play guard or play on the same side as Mekhi Becton. So you have Mekhi Becton protecting him on the left tackle. Then you have Elijah Vera Tucker right beside him. So that could be a really, really good offensive line. Then they get Ole Miss wide receiver Elijah Moore, who I really, really liked a lot. I mean, he's a smaller guy, but reminds me of kind of that Steve Smith type receiver, a weapon for Zach Wilson right away. So their first 3 picks, man, they just absolutely killed it. And then not only that, they get North Carolina running back Michael Carter with their next pick. So they got some explosive guys, a running back, a wide receiver, and Zach Wilson. Then they get Vera Tucker. So they go the first 4 picks on offense. And then that's when the defensive players started coming off the board. Auburn safety, Jamie and Sherwood. And then they also get, after that, they also draft another safety, Michael Carter II from Duke. And they get a Florida State safety, Hamza Nasruddin. And he is just, this guy's all over the place. He could play, I think they're kind of wanting to play that kind of outside linebacker role. He could play safety as well in the NFL, but I think that he could really be a nice outside linebacker. And then they get Arkansas defensive tackle Jonathan Marshall as well. So I thought the GM Joe Douglas nailed this draft with Robert Saleh with his first draft, and then also Mike LaFleur, who's going to be the offensive coordinator. They get 4 guys to go on the offense. Then they start getting these safeties and outside linebackers, corners, defensive tackles. So they had a really good draft. I like what the Jets did. You have to question why they didn't kind of do this for Sam Darnold when he was there. But I thought that the New York Jets did a really good job in this draft. So like I said, I had the Atlanta Falcons with a B+. So they were another one of my favorites. But then I had 2 other teams who I really couldn't decide on. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about both of those guys real quick. And that is the New York Giants. So Dave Gettleman had the 11th overall pick, traded out of that, gets a first-round pick next year. So uses that ammunition, was going to probably draft a receiver there at 11 in Devontae Smith, but he was just taken. So what do? They trade back with Chicago, and they select Kadarius Toney with their number 1 overall pick at 20. But the big thing with here is instead of getting, the receiver they really wanted, they slide back a little bit and get Toney, a guy who's very versatile, and they also pick up a first-round pick next year. So they'll have 2 first-round picks heading into the 2022 draft. Then they get Georgia edge rusher Azeez Ojulari, who is a playmaker, made a lot of good plays last year for Georgia in critical situations. I had him pretty high on my big board, top 32 player overall. He slides to the 2nd round, but he's a guy who's going to be very, very good. Then they get UCF cornerback Aaron Robinson, who can also play a little safety or corner. This is a guy who started his career at Alabama. So 5-star guy, ends up going to UCF. Falcons had a shot to get Aaron Robinson. I wouldn't have been mad if they would have selected him, but they did not get him. And the Giants did. Then they select Northern Iowa outside linebacker Erlison Smith, Arizona running back Gary Brightwell, and then Oklahoma State corner or Darius Williams. But this was more about the first 3 picks for me: Ojulari, Toney, and then UCF safety Aaron Robinson. I thought they did really good. And then not only that, then they get the additional first-round pick for next year. So Giants did very good. And then another team who I thought did really, really well, and that is where are they at? The Carolina Panthers. I'm trying to find out. Where is it at? Where are they at? Give me 1 second. Sorry. All right, Panthers. So I know who the Carolina Panthers selected first overall. They got J.C. Horn. Where are they at? Cannot find them on here. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, there it is. All right, guys. So they end up staying at 8 overall, and they got J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn, I really like what he can bring to the table. His upside is just through the roof. He had a great career at South Carolina. Basically started from day one when he stepped foot on campus. I thought they could have went with a Patrick Surtain, but ends up Surtain goes with the next pick to the Denver Broncos. And then not only do they get J.C. Horn, then they get LSU wide receiver Terrence Marshall Jr., pair him up with Joe Brady, who he worked with at LSU. And then they got offensive tackle, offensive guard Brady Christensen from BYU. Big guy who kind of rose up Zach Wilson. A lot of these scouts were going to watch Zach Wilson, and they're like, whoa, who's this guy? Who's his left tackle? So Brady Christensen, goes up to the third round. I thought those were really good picks, round 1, 2, 3. Then they get a Notre Dame tight end, Tommy Tremble, kind of an H-back guy who can play tight end, play fullback in the backfield, will come up and hit you, but can also catch some balls out of the backfield as well. Then they get Oklahoma State running back Chuba Hubbard, who was also selected in the Canadian Football League draft. But it looks like he's going to be playing for the Carolina Panthers. He's a nice little backup who can give Christian McCaffrey some breaks as well. And then they have Davion Nixon, another guy I had in my top 100 overall prospects. Then they get the giant guard, Deontay Brown from Alabama. He's just a massive human being. Then South Carolina gets wide receiver Shi Smith. They get the long snapper, you need a long snapper in the NFL. They get the best one in the nation from Alabama, Thomas Fletcher. And then their last pick, Phil Hoskins from Kentucky. So I thought that Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers did a hell of a job surrounding Sam Darnold with some talent on the offensive side of the football, and then getting that shutdown corner in J.C. Horn. And I think that's exactly what he's going to develop into in a few years. I really like J.C. Horn. So those are my top, 4 or 5 teams: the Atlanta Falcons, Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, Carolina Panthers, and the New York Giants. Those are some teams to watch out for in a few years if these teams have turned it around, and maybe you can thank the 2021 NFL Draft for doing so. So, guys, we're going to move on to the NFL schedule release. We got 3 more things to talk about, guys, and we'll go ahead and get up out of here. So right now, I just want to give a little update. The Atlanta Hawks, of course, are playing the Washington Wizards right now. And the Hawks are up 117-116 with 13.2 seconds left. Shooting a free throw. They made it, so they're up 118-116 right now with the Washington Wizards. I'm just talking about I'm not talking about like being a top team, Zach. I'm just talking about them. They had a really good free agency period. And then not only, I thought they had a really good draft as well. So he makes both free throws. Hawks are up now 119-116 with 13 seconds left. We'll see what happens. But, guys, I want to talk Week 1 NFL matchups, guys. So these are the games that they've announced. They went ahead and announced these earlier today. And we'll start, of course, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, hadn't made the playoffs in 10, 11 years. They get Tom Brady, and they win a Super Bowl. That was tough to watch as an Atlanta Falcons fan, but they were by far the hottest team at the right time. So not only does Tom Brady, the gifts of Tom Brady just keeps on getting bigger. What do they give Tom Brady Week 1? Do they pair him with, the Rams or the Bills or even the Falcons? No, they give him Dan Quinn's defense and the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night. So Tampa Bay, big favorite right now against Dallas Cowboys in that matchup. We'll see what happens, but I expect Tom Brady to kind of get a pretty easy win to start the season. And then we'll go to Sunday, guys. These are the 1 o'clock games. So the Jacksonville Jaguars will take on the Texans. Urban Meyer and his Jacksonville Jaguars debut. Of course, Trevor Lawrence, he gets his quarterback So we'll see what happens in that matchup. Should be a good one. Will Deshaun Watson be the quarterback of the Houston Texans? We'll see. A lot of the chatter from, the Deshaun Watson trades and stuff like that has kind of going on to what's going on off the field with him. So we really don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, but right now he expects to be the quarterback the Texans expect Deshaun Watson to be the quarterback. Not sure if it's the other way around or not. And then, guys, another game, Steelers at Bills. This is a Steelers team who started off the season 11-0. Then they kind of were exposed, and they had no running game last year. Offensive line was a problem. James Conner's now gone. They draft Najee Harris, so he steps into that RB1 role probably right away. Juju Smith-Schuster resigns. So Big Ben, man, this is probably his last season. We'll see what Big Ben's able to do. But this Bills team, I'm telling you, this Bills team is going to be very, very good next year. Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. They have talent all over the football field. Their defense is very, very good. So Josh Allen, man, he's a guy who made that step from year 1, year 2, and now year 3. If he can, play better than he did last year, it's going to be unreal. He's a top 10 quarterback easily, possibly a little higher in the NFL. The Jets at the Panthers. Sam Darnold gets to play his former team very first week. Sam Darnold gets to play his former team week 1. Zach Wilson going to have a ton of pressure facing off against Sam Darnold in week 1. I know the New York Jets fans, if Zach Wilson loses to Sam Darnold, I know the Jets fans are going to be hard on him right away. That's just how they are. They are very quick to start blaming people or start dishing out hate. So we'll see what happens in that game. Cardinals at Titans. That should be a pretty good game. Kyler Murray and this young Cardinals team. J.J. Watt, of course, makes his Cardinals debut with DeAndre Hopkins. Tennessee, can they sustain what they've done the last 2 seasons? Of course, they lose Arthur Smith, but they still have King Henry running that football. They still have A.J. Brown on the outside as well for Tannehill. Defense, probably going to be pretty good next year as well. So the Tennessee Titans and Cardinals should be a pretty good game. That's a toss-up, flip a coin. Who knows what could happen in that game. Then you have the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert. We were able to see. What's up, Dave? Thanks for joining, man. We were able to see what Justin Herbert and the Chargers team was able to do last year. Yes, they were 7-9, but he was able to make a lot of plays. Looks like a franchise quarterback. And they go to Washington. And this Washington defense, what they've been able to do the last few years with all these first-round draft picks, they have De'Aaron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young. They just drafted Jamin Davis. They're good in the secondary. They have Landon Collins in the second. This team, especially the defensive line, is just stacked up front. So I'm excited to see. And then they also have Montez Sweat on the defensive line as well. They got guys all over the field. Just drafted a linebacker out of Kentucky. And then they have good cornerback plays, I think, with one of the Fuller brothers. So man, this Chargers Washington team, that should be a very good game in week 1. Then you have the Vikings at the Bengals. So Joe Burrow, can he get back and team up with his former LSU wide receiver Jamar Chase? They also have T. Higgins. So Joe Mixon. This Cincinnati team has a chance to be good if they can just protect Joe Burrow. A lot of people were angry that they did not select Penei Sewell. Instead, they go Chase at wide receiver and then get a offensive lineman later on in the draft. The 49ers, Trey Lance probably will not make his debut in this game, but it's a possibility. They selected him 3 overall. The 49ers last year, they were just a team that was injured. They have a pretty good offense with Mozart and then Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle as well. Good offensive line. Then the defensive line is what really, Nick Bosa, and all these other first round draft picks that they've had, coming after, Jared Goff, the newly acquired Jared Goff, who played the 49ers twice a year for a few years. So he's very familiar, with Kyle Shanahan and this 49ers team. The Eagles, guys. Eagles will travel to Atlanta in the Week 1 matchup. And, if you're an Atlanta fan, you're pretty happy with this matchup. Would have been happy with the Cowboys, any of them NFC East teams, really. But they're able to play the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll have their new coach with his first game. Jalen Hurts will be starting his 5th game in the NFL. So, a young Philadelphia team, Devontae Smith, will make his debut, as well as Landon Dickerson. So I like this Philadelphia team. They're young, but if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you got to come away with this football game. It's too early right now. We're about 4 months away from the season, but it's too early to start crowning guys, the paper champions and circling. Hey, they'll win this game, lose this game. At the end of the day, you have to go out there and you have to make plays. You have to execute. And I think Arthur Smith will have his team ready to play come Week 1. And then Seahawks at Colts, Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Lockett. I mean, this offense is very good. Can they protect Russell Wilson? And then also, can the Seattle defense replicate what they were able to do years ago with the Legion of Boom? That should be a pretty good matchup. And then we go to the 425 games, and now this is probably one of my top games of the entire season, guys. And that is the Cleveland Browns at the Chiefs, 425. I wouldn't have minded this one to be the Monday Night Football game, but we're going to go Browns at Chiefs, 425, in a rematch of the division championship. Of the divisional round last year. I really like the Browns defense. I've already talked about them earlier. And then also you got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, OBJ. They've selected, Anthony Schwartz as well to go along with Jarvis Landry. This Browns team could be very, very tough come playoff time next year. So look out for that Browns-Chiefs matchup. Patrick Mahomes gets the rebuilt offensive line. Of course, they trade for Orlando Brown, bring Kyle Long out of retirement. Also signed Joe Thuney from New England. So this Chiefs team, they're going to be explosive on offense, but can they protect Patrick Mahomes, and can they make stops on the defensive side of the football? Dolphins at Patriots. That's going to be a good game. Brian Flores versus Bill Belichick. It's going to be a very, very good game. Tua Tagovailoa, guy who is getting a lot of hate right now in the offseason. The guy had a better winning percentage than Justin Herbert last year. Yes, he didn't put up the same numbers that Herbert did. Herbert had a better statistical season, but Tua wasn't even 1 year, recovered from that major hip surgery. I expect Tua Tagovailoa to come out next year and do work for this Dolphins team who they drafted him some weapons as well, Will Fuller, and then they also took another wide receiver pretty early as well. So I'm excited for this Dolphins team. Brian Flores, that defense, he always has them playing pretty good as well. Then we're going to go Broncos at Giants. So yes, the Packers right now do have Aaron Rodgers, but a team that has been linked to Aaron Rodgers is this Denver Broncos team. If the Denver Broncos were able to land Aaron Rodgers, I really like their possibility as a playoff team next year. That's what Aaron Rodgers could do for your franchise. But right now, they do have Drew Lock, and then Vic Fangio and this defense. Von Miller will be coming back. They have, of course, they draft Surtain, and then they also have Fuller, who they brought over from Chicago in the secondary. So look out for this Denver Broncos team next year. They have Jerry Jeudy and some of these other weapons. Of course, they drafted another running back this year, Javonte Williams, to pair him with Melvin Gordon. So Denver should be good. And then the Giants. Giants have put Daniel Jones in a situation where, hey, he's going to have to prove this year. Is he the guy or is he not? Especially with his extension coming up. Do they extend him? Do they pick up that fifth-year option? Saquon Barkley, he's got to stay on the football field. He's been hurt the last few seasons, had a good rookie campaign, but missed 10 games or so last year. 2 years ago, and then he tears his ACL week 2 last year. So we'll see what they do. And then the Packers Saints, because like I said, guys, Aaron Rodgers right now is going to play for Green Bay, but we'll see what happens. That Packers-Saints game last year was really, really good. The Saints are moving on, transitioning from Drew Brees to now probably Jameis Winston. You could see a little Taysom Hill sprinkled in here and there. They have Marshawn Lattimore, of course, the very nice cornerback from Ohio State. But you know what? We'll see. They lost some guys on defense. They lost some major guys because of salary cap situations. But they still have Alvin Kamara, Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas. So I'm excited to see what the Saints can do versus the Packers. Of course, I'll be rooting for the Packers because I do not root for the Saints. And in pretty much any game they're in, I do not root. I will not root for the Saints. And then, guys, we have 2 more games in Week 1. 8:20 kickoff Sunday night. Bears at Rams. That's going to be a really good game. Matt Stafford, of course, is familiar with the Chicago Bears, being with the Detroit Lions, you know, big rivalry with the Chicago Bears. So this Rams team is very top-heavy. Of course, they have Matt Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald in this defense. You know, Sean McVay, they didn't trade 2 first-round picks for nothing. They expect Matt Stafford to step in right away and improve this football team. And it just seemed like the relationship with Sean McVay and Jared Goff kind of deteriorated last year. And I'm excited to see what Stafford and Sean McVay can do together because they're 2 great. Stafford, the great quarterback. Sean McVay, the great offensive mind. And you know, at the end of the day, I really feel like Sean McVay and this Rams team is pretty close to knocking on the door to being right there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, the Rams beat the Bucs last year when they matched up on Monday Night Football. And then the Monday Night Football, first one of the year, guys, they don't have the 2 games like they normally used to with the 2 Monday night games. They're just going with 1, and they're going Ravens at Raiders in Las Vegas. Raiders are finally able to have fans in the stands, so that's going to be a heck of a game. Also, if you haven't seen, the Raiders have put like a nightclub with a DJ and like a bunch of dancers and stuff in the end zone of their beautiful stadium in Las Vegas. So man, it's going to be it's going to be something else to watch out for when these 2 teams play on Monday Night Football. Lamar Jackson and this Baltimore team trying to get over and compete with the Chiefs in the AFC. The Raiders gave John Gruden that big $75 million contract, 10 years. So he's not on the hot seat per se, but he definitely needs to get some wins this next year. Derek Carr, of course, with the Raiders. Josh Jacobs. I liked what the Raiders did, and with some of their picks. Some of their picks were questionable in the NFL draft, but I did like some of their picks. So that's the Week 1 matchups. What's up, Parker? How you doing, man? But I wanted to go over my top 10 NFL games, guys, for next season, and then we'll talk the Atlanta Falcons schedule, and we'll zoom on out of here, all right? So, my top 10 games, guys, I'm going to go down from 10 to 1, starting with my, this is just, so these are some games who, intrigue me, or revenge type games, or just games that I'm really looking forward to. So I go, my number 10 game, Week 16, number 1 overall pick Trevor Lawrence versus number 2 overall Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. I think that's going to be an exciting game. These guys will, pretty much be at the end of their rookie season. So, oh, Dallas over Bucks. Oh, that. I'll bet you whatever you want on that, Parker. That shit ain't happening. I like the Bucks big over the Cowboys. So we'll go Jacksonville versus Jets in a Week 16 matchup. That's my number 10 game to look out for. And then my number 9 game, guys, Week 18, Saints Falcons. Saints, of course, moving on from Drew Brees. The Falcons, trying to get back in the playoffs hunt for the first time since 2017. This could be a big matchup coming in Week 18, Saints Falcons. And I'm telling you, I really feel like the Falcons can get the job done versus New Orleans Saints. And if this game was, win or go home, I really like that matchup. And it's going to be in Atlanta. So hopefully I will be there. And at the end of the day, that could be a game that gets flexed to Saturday night. what they're doing is they're going to have 2 games flex for Saturday night with ESPN in that Week 18 matchup. So the 2 best games will basically be flexed to Saturday night. You could see a Saints-Falcons Saturday night game. Saints-Falcons Saturday night game to possibly go to the playoffs or, clinch a division. So that's something else to watch out for right there. And then we got Texans at Cardinals, the J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins revenge game versus Bill O'Brien and the Texans. And Bill O'Brien's not there anymore, but I promise DeAndre Hopkins, when he faces up against the Texans, Bill O'Brien may be running through his mind just a little bit on that football field. Next game, very, very good matchup. Week 14, Bills at Bucks. That's going to could be a possible Super Bowl matchup with Josh Allen versus Tom Brady. That's a game I really want to see. Then another revenge game, guys. We're going number 6, Lions at Rams. Matt Stafford, Jared Goff. 2 former number 1 overall picks. They were traded. The Rams ended up giving 2 first-round picks and Jared Goff for Stafford. So they think Stafford can kind of get them over the hump and win them a Super Bowl. That's obviously what they think, giving up that many first-round picks. All right. Next, guys, Browns at Steelers. This is always a nasty little rivalry in the AFC North, and what the Browns were able to kick the Steelers out of the playoffs last year leaves a bad taste in the mouth of most Steelers fans. So Browns at Steelers, that's going to be a heck of a matchup. Can't wait for that one. And then, guys, my top 4 games: Packers at Chiefs, Week 9. Long as Aaron Rodgers is around, that could be a special game. Of course, this Packers and Chiefs game was added on because of the extra game. So this is a game that we would not have seen if there was just 16, but we add the 17th game in, Week 9, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers versus Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes. Next, number 3 game, guys, Bucks at Rams. This is a rematch of that game last year. I think this was the last game the Bucks lost before they went on their little winning streak and were able to get it done and win the Lombardi Trophy last year. Bucks and that offense: Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, Tom Brady, O.J. Howard, Gronkowski, matching up versus L.A. Rams defense, basically led by Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. So I'm excited to see that. That'll be Week 3, so that's pretty early on in the season. Week 2, guys, Bills at Chiefs. This is a rematch of the AFC Championship game. That'll be Week 5, another early matchup. Like I said, Josh Allen versus Mahomes. Sign me up. I'm all for that one. And then, guys, this is probably the easiest... This is probably the easiest one to rank. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this. Next year, Week 4, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, guys, go to Gillette and play the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. If you want to get a ticket for that, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for that game. That's going to be a huge game, revenge game. Will Tom Brady and Bill Belichick embrace after the game? Probably so, but we'll see what happens. If Buccaneers were to lose, who knows if he goes and shakes Bill Belichick and the Patriots' hands. So who will be the quarterback? Will it be Cam Newton? Will it be Mac Jones? That's another storyline to watch out for heading into the 2021 season. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap it up now. It's been a great show, guys. I really appreciate you, everyone tuning in, commenting down below. Guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and comment down below, okay? So, Falcons schedule, guys. Now we know the weeks, and we also know, let me get to the schedule real quick. NFL schedule. All right. So, the Atlanta Falcons, guys. So, we know who they play Week 1. We already knew about that, guys. We knew that the Atlanta Falcons were going to play the Eagles at home. Sorry, I got hiccups. Last time the Eagles came to the Mercedes-Benz Dome, Julio Jones caught that screen pass to beat the Eagles with under a minute left. That was a really big game. One of the bright spots of that 2019 season for the Atlanta Falcons. But the Eagles, I like the matchup. They get to face Jalen Hurts and then a brand new head coach. So, I don't want to say it's going to be a win or start penciling in things, but that's a really good matchup that the Falcons could take full advantage of, and kind of get started and get their first win. Last year they weren't able to get their first win till like week 6, so it's always nice to get that week 1 victory. So we'll see what happens. Week 2 they travel September 19th. They travel to Tampa Bay. Last year we played Tampa Bay week 15 and 17, so this year we get them earlier, get a crack at Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Week 3, guys, at the Giants. I'm going to play a 1 o'clock game at the Giants. So they're going to go to Tampa Bay and then to the Giants, and then they'll have their home game against the Washington football team. Man, this Washington football team, their defense is really, really good. So hopefully the Falcons defense can stop Washington's offense and maybe be a low-scoring game. But, that's a winnable game. The Giants game is very winnable. Of course, they could beat the Buccaneers, but at this point, that may be the best team in the NFL. If they could start the season 3-1, or 4-1, 3-1, that would be a great start to the season. And then the Jets, guys, they play the Jets in London week 5. So we lose a home game, which kind of sucks, especially for season ticket holders. They lose a game. So instead of the Jets coming to Mercedes-Benz Dome, they're going to be going to London and playing in the Tottenham Hotspurs arena. So, stadium. So then when they go to London, they get the next week. They get the bye week the next week. So you get that early bye in the season, but you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're gonna have 12 games in a row. So basically, like you're back in college. 12 straight weeks playing every day. So health and injuries are going to be, big concern heading into next year. But I like the depth that the Atlanta Falcons have been able to do, add in a lot of these veterans on minimum veteran type deals to fill out the roster. And these are a lot of guys who have played some good football, who are going to be backups and things like that. So if injuries do happen, I think the Atlanta Falcons have a chance to fill out the depth chart and still be able to compete. All right. So next, guys, the Miami Dolphins. The Atlanta Falcons. They play the Dolphins every year in the preseason, but they're also going to go to Miami and play Tua Tagovailoa and this much improved Dolphins team from a few years ago. Last year, guys, they win 10 games, but miss out on the playoffs. Brian Flores and their GM, they're doing a really nice job down in Miami. And then the Atlanta Falcons will get their first crack at Sam Darnold at home. What week is that? In October 31st. So Halloween night, Sunday, October 31st, the Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have owned the Carolina Panthers in the last 20 years. Last year we did split with them, but it would be nice to get that opening victory versus the Panthers on Halloween. Week 9, guys, we go November 7th. We go to New Orleans. What's up, Glenn? How you doing, man? At New Orleans, that's always a tough game. But with no Drew Brees, and now you have Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, some of those guys on that defense are gone for New Orleans. They still have Michael Thomas and Kamara, but at the end of the day, it's a winnable game. It's going to be a rivalry game, so you never know what will happen when those two teams play, but should be a decent game on November 7th. All right, and then so you have the Panthers at home, then you got Saints away, then you'll go to Dallas at the Cowboys. Dan Quinn, the Atlanta Falcons get their shot at revenge for that Cowboys blown game last year where basically they're up by 9 points with 2 minutes left and lose. Dak Prescott, is he able to stay healthy? They have Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, Zeke Elliott. This offense is pretty good, but the defense for the Cowboys has been iffy the last few years. What's up, Alexander? Thanks for watching, man. I appreciate it. And also you too, Glenn. Appreciate it, man. So they play the Cowboys. They get the revenge on Dan Quinn, hopefully, and they get another NFC East opponent. Then week 11, the only primetime game for the Atlanta Falcons, which, hey, I'm a little salty about it, but at the end of the day, you have to win games to get these primetime games. We sucked last year, went 4-12. Our record is what it says we are. So we get one primetime game. It's not even on Monday night, guys. It's Sunday night at 8:20, which, hey, I like it. I'm happy for that matchup. November 18th, Thursday night. Okay, so Thursday night. So that could be Thanksgiving, but I thought it was a Sunday night game, so it's actually a Thursday night game. So I will be there in the house in Mercedes-Benz Dome. Thought it was a Sunday game, but it looks like it's a Thursday night game. I wonder if that's Thanksgiving. I'll have to look into that. Week 12, guys, at Jacksonville. This was the game that was added on with the extra games being added. So Atlanta Falcons get their shot at Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, has done a good job with his draft. Now they signed Tim Tebow. That made a lot of news in the last few days. A lot of people pissed off that he's getting a shot. Colin Kaepernick hasn't. Well, Colin Kaepernick hasn't changed positions. That's what Tim Tebow's doing, guys. He's changing positions. He's not getting a shot at quarterback. So let's see what happens. He's on a veteran minimum type deal. Probably won't make the team, but hey, wouldn't be shocked if he did. Then, guys, week 13 at home versus the Buccaneers. So we don't have to face the Buccaneers, later on in the season when they're really getting hot. At least we get them kind of week 2 and week 13. And that matchup is December 5th. So then week 14, guys, we go to at Carolina and Matt Rule, Joe Brady, Sam Darnold, and Matt McCaffrey. McCaffrey's been nicked up the last couple of years, so we'll see if he's able to play in that game. And then the last 4 games, a big important stretch for the Atlanta Falcons, guys. So we start with the 49ers. Could Trey Lance be the quarterback then? Last time we went to San Francisco, the Atlanta Falcons came away with a victory, of course, with the Julio Jones catch in the last two seconds of that game. So that was always a good game to get a win versus your former offensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan, in which many believe he is one of the main reasons for the Atlanta Falcons losing in the Super Bowl, not running the football, some questionable play calls as well. They get Dan Campbell and Jared Goff in this Detroit Lions team. Now that is going to be the final, the second to last home game of the season. And then in week 17, guys, they have to go to Buffalo. Ooh, that is going to be something to watch out for. January 2nd in Buffalo at 1 o'clock. Ooh, get your raincoats ready. It's going to be snowing. It's probably going to be raining. It's probably going to be hailing out. I mean, who knows what the weather conditions are going to be. Falcons kind of got the short end of the stick at that one. I would have rather played Buffalo earlier in the season, but it is what it is. We played Buffalo week 17, and then our week 18 matchup. I highlighted this game a little bit earlier in the show, guys, and that is the Saints Falcons at home, Mercedes-Benz Dome. Possible playoff implications up for grab. Hopefully, the Atlanta Falcons will be in at least a playoff hunt. Division title could happen, but I can definitely see this Atlanta Falcons team winning 10 games, 10-7, something like that, maybe 11-6. That would probably be the ceiling for me, but you could also, see this team win 5 or 6 games, hopefully not, but you got to be real. I mean, this schedule, you see some winnable games on there, but, teams are going to be improved. Some teams who you think are going to be good will not be as good next year, so we'll see what happens. You also have 3 preseason games in August with 10 guys. I'm glad I got to bring you all this show today. The last 2 weeks, guys, I was at the Atlanta Braves game 2 weeks ago, and then the NFL draft. Then I was in Orlando on vacation last week. So I'm excited to bring you all this show tonight, guys. We talked NFL draft, Atlanta Falcons draft, who my favorite teams of the draft were. We talked week 1 matchups. We talked Atlanta Falcons matchups and my top 10 matchups, guys. So thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. If you could, guys, share this out, get this out there, comment down below, like my Facebook page, Kicking It With Crowder, and always, guys, check out my website, www.kickingitwithcrowder.com, guys. But until next week, guys, I am out. Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. Let's go.